Is the Austin housing market finally a good time to buy? Home prices have dropped by over 20%, and we're starting to see some signs that maybe Austin could be the first market to complete its crash cycle. And in this video, I'm going to give you the data on what's going on in Austin right now and let you know how much more I think values are going to drop. And the way we're going to get started is we're going to go to Reventure App and we're going to hit the maps link at the top of the page. And we're going to zoom in here on Austin, which is in the center of Texas. And you can see in Austin, folks, values are down 5% the last year, but really they've dropped by a lot more. They're down 21.5% since the middle of 2022. So this is a massive correction that's now taken place in Austin. You can see here on the home value graph that we had the big spike during the pandemic, and we are just now incrementally climbing further down in terms of home prices, which is great news. If you're a home buyer in Austin, it's getting a lot cheaper for you. But, I do have a warning, and I have to say, I think values are going to drop even further into the future, because one thing we're seeing all around Austin right now and all around Central Texas is a pileup of inventory that just doesn't seem to be stopping. The supply just keeps growing and growing on the market. Sellers keep pushing listings onto the resale market. Builders keep somehow developing new homes in the Austin housing market. And we're seeing a level of supply, quite frankly, that we have never seen before in recent memory in Austin. As you can see, we have 12,500 homes on the market, according to this data available on Reventure App, sourced from Realtor.com. Now, folks, look at this. Normally, in May, there's only 7,000 homes on the market on Austin's resale market. And prior to the pandemic, it was just around that 7,300. Now there's 12,000. So when you see that surge in inventory, and you see the inventory just continuing to grow year over year, that's telling you we're still in a buyer's market. It's becoming maybe even more of a buyer's market than it was previously. This inventory spike is happening everywhere, but is most severe in Travis County, in Bastrop County, as well as Hayes and Williamson County. You can see there is a big inventory spike, not quite as big in Williamson and Hayes County. And then if you go out west to some of the hill country, which is technically outside of the metro of Austin, but striking distance, you could see Burnett County, Blanco County, Gillespie County. Inventory is 92% higher than normal. So we're just seeing a massive sell-off here in Central Texas. That's what all this red is showing you. And we're just seeing a level of listings that's hard to comprehend. I mean, you just go on Zillow, look at this, look at how many homes are just for sale. We're to the north of Austin in a town called Georgetown right now. And you can see actually some of these houses are getting to price points which are starting to look semi-reasonable. We see some houses here with 2 handles on them, 240,000, 280,000. We see just a complete deluge of new builder homes. Some of these houses are around 390,000. The most expensive areas in Austin, everyone, are to the west. So if we were to zoom out here and look at the center of Austin, to the west is kind of where the wealthy locations are. There's a lot of $1 million homes here to the west. More towards the south and to the east, it gets more affordable. There's even a house here, a 2-bed, 3-bath on the market for $230,000. But by and large, kind of the average or typical price of a home in Austin is more in that range of around $440,000. Especially if you head out to some of the suburbs, you'll see that like a house like this be kind of a standard looking house, 3-bed, 2-bath, $425,000. And so, that is actually more expensive than the average metro. So even though Austin has corrected 22%, it's still more expensive to buy in Austin than any other place in Texas. It's still more expensive to buy in Austin than a lot of other places in America. But what makes me actually more bullish on Austin in the long run are some of its local economic fundamentals, particularly the income levels. Austin has now become a very high income metro area. The median income statistics have surged over the last 5 to 7 years, meaning that its current price points on houses are actually somewhat supported by the money that people are making. For instance, folks, you can see in Travis County, the central county in Austin, the median income is now $100,000. And that has just gone way up. It's doubled over the last 15 years. So when the income doubles over 15 years, it's a definite signal that the locals can afford more in terms of buying a house. And now the home value to income ratio in Travis County, after surging to 7.2 in 2022, is now back down to 4.9, which is almost at the long-term average of 4.8. And this is actually what starts to have me excited about Austin's housing market, is we are actually getting to a point where you can look at the numbers and say, hey, it actually might make sense to buy, that the market is fundamentally supported, that the prices are in line with the long-term income fundamentals. It's a similar situation in Williamson County to the north. This is where Round Rock is, this is where Georgetown is, this is where Leander is. Typical home value is $427,000, median income is $114,000. So that's a 3.7 home value to income ratio, which is almost at that long-term average of 3.4. Meaning that I'm getting more and more bullish on buying in Austin, especially because it is still a demographic growth powerhouse. So even though the migration fell in Austin over the last 2 years, and in Travis County, the migration went negative, more people moved out than moved in of Travis County, there's still solid underlying population growth in Austin because it actually has very favorable age demographics. It's a very young city. There's lots of families in and around Austin. There's lots of kids. We have a metric on Reventure App called birth to death ratio. And in Austin, there's more than 2 times as many births as deaths in a given year, meaning that its population is just going to organically grow due to its age demographics. A lot of other areas like in Florida doesn't have that anymore. Florida is losing people organically. Well, Austin is gaining people organically. So even if its migration stays down for a couple years, it's still going to grow its population. It's still going to be one of the top population growth markets in the US. And eventually, Austin's migration will rebound as it becomes more affordable. The main reason why migration dropped in Austin the last 2 years was because it was such a big bubble in 2022. And as many of you know, I lived in Austin at that point in time in 2020, 2021, when the bubble was getting really big. I was on the ground. I saw it happening. I knew it was a bubble. And, now that the bubble is popped and is getting more affordable, I'm becoming more and more bullish. So for those of you who watch me for a long time, you know I'm not typically bullish on the housing market, or I haven't been because the price has been so overvalued. It's just exciting to see we finally have a market where the data is saying it's becoming a better time to buy. But we're maybe not quite there yet, because I still think there's downward price pressure in Austin over the next year. And now what I'm going to do, if you're a home buyer in Austin, if you're an investor, or if you're just someone who wants to understand where the values are heading, I'm going to peel back the onion on my home price forecast for Austin over the next 12 months. And you can see this forecast is minus 7.8%. So we're getting closer to fairly valued, but due to how much inventory there is, we think values in Austin are going to drop from 451,000 today to 416,000 in a year, which means, everyone, that if you wait a year, you could probably maybe save another 20 grand, 30 grand, but it's going to be heavily dependent on which market you're in. So if we go to the zip code map on Reventure, you can see there's big differences in terms of where we are expecting prices to go down and by how much. There's even a certain zip code in Austin where we think values are going to go up. So what you guys should do at the end of this video is go to www.reventure.app and look at that price forecast for your zip code in Austin. I'm going to tell you how you can do that at the end of this video. The other quick thing we need to talk about before that, though, in Austin is the rental market. Because not only have home prices dropped significantly in Austin, rents have dropped a lot as well. You can see the typical apartment rent in Austin has gone down from $1,600 a month in August 2022 down to $1,357 a month through the spring of 2025. So that's a rental correction of 17% according to data from Apartment List, and we're now almost back to pre-pandemic rents in Austin. I mean, think about that, everyone. We're only about 8 to 9% above pre-pandemic rents. And again, this is just a beautiful thing to see. This is a market that just really is truly getting more affordable. And the reason why this is good, everyone, is that it's going to allow Austin to grow into the future. And it's going to mean that people aren't going to be forced to leave because they can't afford it. Locals can stay. And, maybe college graduates on a lower income, they can still move to the city. If people are between jobs or maybe they got laid off, they don't just have to immediately leave because they can't afford it. I just think from a societal perspective, what we're seeing in Austin right now is really a good thing with these home values dropping. Maybe some of the people who bought in 2021 and 2022 and 2023 don't like it. There's a lot of people now going underwater in Austin. However, This is unquestionably a good thing for Austin society, its economy, and I think its housing market in the long run. And so if you are a home buyer or investor in Austin, what I would really encourage you guys to do, particularly if you're someone who's looking to buy in the next year, is access the data for your city in the Austin metro as well as your zip code and county so you can see what's heading into the future and where the market's going. And in particular, you're going to want to check out that price forecast score. So we still think values are going to drop another 7.8% in Austin over the next year. And you can see on our price forecast, we saw the drop coming after 2022. We saw it coming starting in 2023. Our forecast dipped way negative and it keeps dipping negative. So there's still some meat on the bone for prices to go down. If they do go down another 7.8% in the next year, that would bring the total correction to 30% in Austin. Maybe at this point in 2026 would be a 30% correction. You can use this data to actually make a better offer. If you see prices are forecast to go down 9% in your zip code where you're looking to buy, use that data with the seller, with the realtor, show it to them, say, this is the data I'm looking at, send them the charts. We've had users on Reventure App now report that they've been successful in doing that and actually negotiating better deals with this data and buying houses at below asking price. The cost of our premium plan is $39 a month or $399 a year, which is $33 a month on average. It's a 15% discount. Sign up for one of those two plans right now and access the data for your market at www.reventure.app.